So when I first became a manager, I genuinely thought I had a pretty good handle on what it would take. I'd watched other managers, I'd read the books, I'd even done a degree. I thought I knew how to run a meeting, set goals and give feedback. But almost immediately, I started telling myself things that at the time sounded like smart leadership strategy, when really they were just lies. Not malicious lies, not even lies that I consciously believed in, but these deeply ingrained assumptions about what being a good manager was supposed to look like. And those assumptions actually caused more pressure, more confusion, more second guessing than I would like to admit. So I really want to share some of those lies with you today, because if you've ever felt like managing people is so much harder than it ever looked, if you are in the depths of management at the minute and really regretting some of your choices, just like I was, I promise you are not the only one. And that leads me into my very first lie. I would tell myself, once I am more senior, I would finally feel confident. And the reason I don't feel confident right now is because I am junior or because I am new. And I used to think that that confidence would kind of just show up one day, or that the more senior I became, the more automatically grounded and certain I would feel in every decision. I thought that confidence came with the title, or the number of people in your team, or the size of meeting you were invited to, or even the paycheck. But the more experience that I gained, the more I realized that confidence in management comes from how we operate before we feel fully ready. So confidence for me really started to build when I stopped trying to perform a version of leadership I thought other people wanted from me, and started focusing on the kind of manager I actually wanted to be. It came from having the courage to set some boundaries, even when it felt awkward. And those boundaries could look like pace or time or energy, closing the laptop at 6 p.m, 5 p.m, whenever you finish. It came from admitting that when I didn't know something, it wasn't a sign of my weakness. I didn't need to spiral because of it. I could just go and ask a question, have a conversation, and learn that thing. Not knowing all the answers wasn't a bad thing. And that confidence came from having a hard conversation, even when I felt really scared to do it, but it went better than expected, and remembering that feeling for next time. Essentially, the confidence will come from within you, from the courage of everyday choices when you decide to do the hard thing, have the hard conversation, set the boundary, stand up for yourself, stand up for your team. That's how you build the confidence. It doesn't naturally come over time. It doesn't naturally come with titles. It comes when you put in the work. It showed up because I stretched myself, I stayed present, I collected enough evidence to just trust my own judgment. Lie number 2 was, I need to prove my value by doing everything myself. This one hit me hard, especially early on, because I felt this like constant pressure to prove that I was earning the title or earning the paycheck, and that I wasn't just a manager in name, but someone who was deeply capable, deeply across the detail, deeply involved in absolutely everything. So I made myself available all the time. I got involved in tasks I didn't need to be in. I wanted to review and approve everything, edit everything, jump into every problem the moment it came up. And sure, at first it looked like I was being thorough, it looked like I was being committed, but the impact was my team started to take a step back, not because they were disengaged, but because I was never leaving any room for them to take the lead, never leaving any room for them to experiment, try new things and fail. And over time, I really started to learn that my job wasn't to be in everything. It was to build a team who could operate without me hovering in the background, without me stepping in to micromanage. My value was never in fixing every issue. It was in creating an environment and a team where they felt capable and trusted enough to fix those things themselves. And the more that I tried to prove I was capable by doing everything myself, the more I actually got in the way of my team's growth and my own growth. Okay, line number 3. I have to be the first one in and the last one out. This one is so deeply baked into how a lot of us see leadership. It's this idea that the real leaders kind of go the extra mile, and that extra mile looks like longer hours, never switching off, being constantly available. And I used to actually feel guilty if I left on time. Even if I'd had a really productive day at work, I would feel guilty if I was the first one to leave the office. I thought that staying late showed dedication, that if my team saw me working hard, they'd maybe be more motivated to do the same. But what I didn't realize is actually leading from this place and going down this road that eventually will lead to burnout doesn't inspire anyone. It makes your team feel like that level of exhaustion is the expectation. It sets a tone that success only comes from sacrifice, which simply isn't isn't true. Being the first one in and the last one out might make you feel responsible, but it doesn't actually make you effective. What your team actually needs is a manager who's clear, present, and calm, and knows how to set boundaries. And you don't get to be those things when you're constantly running on empty. So I had to really rewire how I felt about leadership here, because it was never ever about being the last one at the desk. It was always being someone your team trusts to make good decisions, model healthy behavior, and sustain with the long game in mind. Line number 4 is, it'll just be quicker if I did it myself. Oh, this is the one I told myself so many times, and to be fair, it's true the first time. But if every single time something needs doing, I jump in because it's quicker, then I am essentially training my team and myself to believe that I'm the only one who can do it properly. And the more I do that, the more I block the very thing that I'm trying to build, which is a capable, proactive, and confident team. And yes, training someone the first time takes longer. Yes, giving feedback the first time takes longer. Allowing someone to figure it out themselves, definitely slower. But that upfront investment buys you a future of freedom and a capable team. When you don't just jump in and say it'd be quicker if I do it myself, you're not just solving one problem, you are helping your team learn how to solve it without you next time. And that is where leadership can scale. That is where you buy this freedom and capability in your team. You stop being a bottleneck and you start being a multiplier. And honestly, the long-term reward of watching someone you coached absolutely nail something that you used to be the only ones that could do it, that is really a feeling that is worth investing in and worth waiting for. So looking back, none of these lies came from a bad place. They came from a desire to do well, to prove myself, to be seen as a strong, reliable, and worthy of the role kind of leader. But over time, I really realized that true leadership never comes from proving that you're invincible. It comes from being willing to evolve, willing to learn, to be wrong, learn out loud, build trust, not control. So if you've ever told yourself any of these lies, or maybe you've said them recently, that the confidence will come when you're senior enough, or you need to be across everything, that overworking is just part of the job, or maybe that it's easier if you just do things yourself, please know you are not behind, you're in the thick of it right now. And this is where we create this real, solid leadership foundation, not in perfection, but always in practice. By the way, if you want to level up even more with me in leadership, I run free 45-minute workshops every single week. They are live with me and other managers, and we can all level up together. Just go to the link in the description to book your slot. And we post leadership videos like this every single week. So if you want to level up as a manager, just make sure you are subscribed.